Alright guys, welcome back to a brand new video. Welcome back to a brand new year. I hope you guys had a great Christmas, great new year. You're very excited for the start of 2024, and I'm very excited to release this video. I released one like this last year at the start of 2023 called How to Cold Email in 2023. It's probably my most popular video to date, so I'm really excited to release this one because in the past year so much has changed. I've learned so much, and this video that I'm putting out here is so much more comprehensive than the one I put in last year. So very excited for it. Now, give you a fair warning, this is going to be a long video. It's going to be a long guide. It's going to cover everything that you need to know about cold email in 2024. And I've included chapters within the video and within this document itself so that you can jump about and you can find all of the relevant information. So if you're completely new to cold email, then what I recommend doing is sitting down, get a notepad and pen with some paper, get a cup of tea, get a snack, whatever it is, get relaxed, because it's going to be a long video, but you're going to learn so much about cold email. And by the end of the video, you will have all of the tools in place that you need in order to successfully start and launch cold emails for yourself, for your clients, and for your business. Okay? And by the end of the guide, you're going to have a better understanding of cold email than most B2B businesses, and these are huge B2B businesses. So you can see here all of the different chapters that I've broken it down into, from cold email, understanding the basics, legal compliance and ethics, tech stack, technical setup, copywriting, lead scraping, launching the campaign, keeping a clean inbox, follow-ups, integrating with other marketing channels, conclusions, and next steps. So it's a very long video. Okay, now the first one we're going to break into is cold email. So I hope you're sitting down, I hope you're relaxed. Let's go. All right, so very basic here. What is cold email? And this is super important because a lot of people don't really know what it is they're actually doing with cold email. Well, cold email is an unsolicited email sent to a contact without prior consent, okay? And I want to make it really clear that this point is incredibly important throughout this guide. So make a note of it. Remember that you are contacting someone who you've never spoken to before for selfish gain, okay? You're trying to gain something yourself. You're trying to gain money off them so that you can sell them your services, your product, or whatever it is. It's a very selfish thing that you're doing, okay? With cold email, you can send high volume, highly personalized emails to thousands of new contacts every single day. And it is without a doubt the most effective and cost-efficient way to generate new leads in the B2B world. When set up correctly, and which you'll be able to after this guide, cold email campaigns can easily generate 30 plus qualified calls every single month. The second point here is why cold email? Well, as mentioned before, cold email is efficient and it's very cost effective. You can set up a cold email campaign for less than $200. Very cheap when you consider the opportunity cost of starting it and what you could achieve with a cold email campaign. Now, to give you a realistic understanding, most systems will cost around $500 to set up and, between $200 to $300 to maintain every single month, depending on the size or the scale that you go for. But you can absolutely do it for less than $200 if you're smart with your money and you try different free trials and different things like that. You can 100% do it for less than $200. Okay, cold email gives you the ability to quickly test offers, angles, services, new markets, and different ICPs without completely overhauling your business. And you can test indefinitely with cold email and quickly get primary data back from actual prospects. And this is really key. You can test things really quickly, and you can test indefinitely. So if you're a creative person and you're constantly coming up with new angles, new ideas, this, that, and the other, then you can get this done very quickly, and you can test them really quickly with cold email. Cold email is a game of numbers and data, okay? The more you collect, the better you become. And again, I want to make this an important point. Do not expect your first cold email campaign to go well. Do not expect anything you do for the first time to go well. The best cold emailers launch 10 plus campaigns before they start to see consistent results. If you continue to persist, you will get results. Okay, I'll make a personal point about myself. This year I started Muay Thai back in May, and in May I could not skip, I could not throw a punch, I didn't know where to stand, but I didn't go into it expecting that I was going to, be number one in the world in my first session. I went into it humble and understand that I have a lot to learn before I can do anything. Now, 6, 7, 8 months later, I'm still a complete novice, complete beginner. But the difference in what I've been able to do now versus when I started is massive. So you have to go into it with that learning mindset, that humble mindset, and not expecting and having realistic expectations. If you have realistic expectations about what you can achieve, then you won't be disappointed when the first ones don't go well. But keep persevering, keep trying, and eventually you will get it. It's absolutely guaranteed that if you follow everything that I put out in this guide and you keep trying, keep testing, don't give up, you will succeed with it, okay? I guarantee it. So if you're looking for a method to consistently generate quality sales calls for your business without grinding out cold calls or going to conventions or posting on LinkedIn or paying for ads, then cold email is for you. But before we jump into the meat of this guide, I want to show you some results of cold email, because you might be sitting there thinking, oh, Tom, I've tried cold email before, didn't really work for me on my business, or cold email is just for scammers and spammers, etc., etc. I want to show you some of the results that we've been able to generate with cold emails just this year in 2023, okay? So this is Stuart Amin from Solderson, and working with us since around May, he's been able to sign over £160,000 in new deals in just 6 months, signing one of the world's largest VR companies and becoming an official vendor for ByteDance, which is a TikTok parent company, okay? So just using cold email, Stuart has been able to sign over £160,000 worth of deals, which is crazy, okay? This is Adam Loddy from Dojo Launch, and he's been able to add over $800,000 in annualized revenue, scaling his business from $21,000 per month to $82,000 per month just with cold email. This is Oscar Gracie from Unlimited Viral Ideas, and he added $28,000 in 1 month, locking in over $16,000 in new monthly recurring revenue and $192,000 in annualized revenue. Okay, so to add that all up, that's $1,152,000 in new business locked in via cold email in 2023 alone. Now, also remember that this is only the result from 3 of our clients, and we've worked with dozens of clients this year. Okay, cold email works. And when you do it right, when you follow what I say in this guide, you can get results like this too. This is not unrealistic. This is not out of the blue results. If you have a great business with a good offer and you implement cold email, you too can get results like this. Okay? So before we really get into everything else, we have to understand the basics. Okay? Understanding the basics is so important when you're doing anything. Going back to the Muay Thai thing, I studied Muay Thai. Before you do a spinning heel kick, you have to learn how to stand in a fighter stance. You have to learn how to throw a 1-2, and you have to learn how to throw a roundhouse kick, okay? So understanding the basics is so important when you're doing anything, and it's the exact same thing cold email. So what I've done is, because I understand people, there's people that are visual learners, people that are written learners, people that are, oral learners or verbal learners or whatever it is. I wanted to put together what the actual architecture of a cold email system is so that you can visualize it and understand what it looks like. Okay, so this is what a cold email system looks like. So the first thing that you're going to start off with is your offer. So your offer is the result of your service. Okay, so for example, if you run Facebook ads, your offer is the result that the Facebook ads will have for the prospect or the client that you sign on. Okay, the next thing is you're going to need leads, and you're also going to need messaging. So this is the cold email copy, and these 3 things that you have control over get plugged into the actual vehicle itself, and this is the cold email vehicle that you're going to use to send cold emails. And the one that I've broken down here is broken down into 10 domains and 10 email accounts. So you'll need fresh domains and you'll need fresh email accounts. The reason for that is because we're limited to how many cold emails we can send every single day from each domain. And also, there is a chance with cold email that you do land in spam, and we do not want that to affect your main domain. But I'm going to cover all this further down the document. I wanted to give you a visual guide of what it looks like, okay? So all of these domains and all of these email accounts funnel into the master inbox. The master inbox is where you're going to get all of the replies from your cold email campaigns. So you're either going to get interested replies or not interested replies. And if you're getting an overwhelming amount of not interested replies, then you can go back to your offer, you can go back to your leads, and you can go back to your messaging, and you can edit these 3 things and then try again. However, if you are getting interested replies, the goal here is to book them onto a call, Get them to show up. If they don't, get them back on the call. And if they do show up, then try and close and win the deal. And realistically, if you're doing cold email, you're sending cold outreach, you can expect to close anywhere from sort of 10 to 15, 20, maybe 30% if you're really, really good and your offer has really good product market fit of calls that come via cold email if you have the basic principles of sales sort of established within your company. Now, this guide is not going to cover that, and I may release a video in the future covering that, okay? So the components that make up your cold email, as I mentioned, your offer, and this is the desired result of your service for your clients, and this should focus on outcomes and aim to fix a pain point that your prospect faces. The leads, and this is the data that you're going to use to contact the prospects, and this needs to include things like name, job title, company name, email address, etc. The messaging, and this is the copy of the cold emails that you are sending to the prospects. Domains, and this is the secondary domains that you're using to host the email accounts. The email accounts, and this is the emails that you are sending the cold emails from. The master inbox, which is the inbox that all the other inboxes forward into, and this is where all the replies from the cold email campaigns will be forwarded to, and you can manage everything from in there. Interested replies, and this is a reply from a prospect to your cold email showing interest in your offer. Booking a call, and this is when a prospect is booking a sales call with you and winning the deal. This is a prospect has agreed to become your client. And I wanted to really break this down into the sort of core of what it is so that you don't have any questions and you can look through this guide, you can look through this architecture, and you can match it up with everything just to make sure you're completely aware of everything that's going on. So this is the basics of cold email. So this is the basics, and this is understanding the architecture. The next thing that I want to cover, and something that I do not see any cold email gurus talking about, okay? Knowing the laws makes you a better cold email and protects you from legal risks. We have to understand the legal compliance and ethics of cold email. It's super, super important. So many people just scrape over it. It's not important. It doesn't matter. It absolutely does matter. And you can protect yourself. You can protect your company. Make yourself a better cold emailer and make everyone else in the market have better time as well, because you're compliant and you're not ruining the name of cold email by sending spam. So we have to understand anti-spam laws, and the main ones of these are the Can-Spam Act, which is in North America, and GDPR for European contacts and people in the EU or the European Economic Zone or whatever it is, okay? Like all forms of marketing and advertising, cold email is regulated, and there are strict laws in place that you must follow to have compliant cold emails, and ignoring them could lead to heavy fines. Now, I just want to preface this by saying that this is not legal advice, what I'm telling you right now. So please consult the laws of your country and seek professional legal counsel to ensure that you're doing everything all right, okay? This is just a guide, and it's supposed to give you an overview of what the legal space looks like with regards to cold email. So the first thing that we need to look at is the Can-Spam Act. And I understand this may be a little bit boring, and you're probably thinking, Tom, just move on to the good bits, okay? There's chapters in this video. You can skip this if you want, but I wanted to put this in here for people that are really, really serious about cold email, because understanding this is going to make you a better cold emailer, okay? So I would really recommend sticking around and watching this section. So what is the Can-Spam Act? Well, it's an act that is a law that sets rules for commercial email, establishes requirements for commercial messages, gives recipients the right to have emails stopped from being sent to them, and spells out tough penalties, this is the key one, for violations. It's particularly relevant to cold emails in the following way. So this is how it's relevant to cold emails. The first one is the definition of commercial email, okay? So the Can-Spam Act covers all commercial messages, which the law defines as any electronic mail message, the primary purpose of which is the commercial advertisement or promotion of a commercial product or service. This includes email promoting content on commercial websites. So cold emails, which are often unsolicited and sent to promote a product or service, do fall under this definition. So your cold emails will absolutely be regulated and under the laws of the Can-Spam Act, okay, if you're contacting the USA. So the second thing is consent, okay? So unlike some other regulations like GDPR, the Can-Spam Act does not require prior consent before sending a commercial email. That means that in the United States, you can legally send a cold email to someone that you have not interacted with before. So it's very legal to send a cold email. You know, when you are outreaching, you'll get people, sort of holier than thou people that will reply to you saying, cold email is illegal, I'm going to report you to my lawyer, okay? That's rubbish. Cold email is completely legal, but you have to follow the requirements, okay? So what are the requirements? The Act has very specific requirements regarding the content of the commercial emails. So the first one is clear identification. So the email must be identified as an advertisement. The second one being valid information. So the sender's information such as the from, to, reply to, and routing information must be accurate and identify the person or business who initiated the email. And the third one here is being physical address. So the email must contain the valid physical postal address of the sender. So understand those 3 points. You must also include an opt-out mechanism. So the CAN-SPAM Act requires that commercial emails provide a clear and conspicuous way for recipients to opt out of cold emails, or opt out of future emails. This opt-out mechanism must be easy to understand and comply with. Now, I want to make this clear that this does not mean that you need an unsubscribe link in your cold emails. You can absolutely have written ways for a prospect to opt out of your cold emails. Reply to this email, let me know if you're not interested and I can remove you from future emails. Let me know if you're not interested in receiving future emails, etc., etc. You can get creative with it, but you just need to give them a way to do that, and it needs to be written and it needs to be clear, okay? Alongside that as well, you need to have prompt opt-out compliance. So senders must honor opt-out requests promptly and generally within sort of 10 business days of receiving them. So this is why setting up a do not contact list is very essential to be compliant. And if you're using tools like Instantly or Smart Lead, then you can set one of these up very, very quickly just by following their guides on their site. There are also some penalties for non-compliance. So violation of the CAN-SPAM Act can result in significant penalties. Each separate email in violation of the law is subject to those penalties, which can add up really, really quickly. Now, personal note, I've never heard of anyone being fined for sending cold emails, even if they are not compliant. And I know some people that are not compliant, and I've seen emails that are not compliant. I receive emails that are not compliant, okay? This act mainly protects consumers from unsolicited and spammy B2C emails. And this is business to consumer, or D2C, direct to consumer emails, okay? So if you want to see what those look like, then check your spam box and you'll see hundreds of fake, illegal spam emails. And this law mainly exists to give the law jurisdiction to prosecute those offenders, okay? However, you should always remain compliant with CAN-SPAM to safeguard yourself from legal action, because you never know who is going to report you. So it's just better to be on the safe side of the law, all right? And ignorance of the law, as we all know, is not an excuse, all right? So knowing this and going into it is going to make you a better cold emailer. The second major sort of act that we need to look at is the GDPR, okay? So this is the General Data Protection Regulation. And this significantly impacts the practice of cold emailing, especially in the European Union and the European Economic Area. So unlike the CAN-SPAM Act in the United States, which allows for unsolicited commercial emails, as long as they comply with certain requirements, GDPR includes stricter rules. So here's how GDPR affects cold emailing. So it does say that you should have explicit consent is generally, so the key word here is generally, so this is where it creates a grey area in the law, required before sending marketing emails. And I'll skip to this next bit, which is where the sort of basis and the justification for cold emails in the EU comes from. So this is a legitimate interest, okay? So there is a provision under GDPR for legitimate interest, which some businesses use as the basis for cold emailing. However, this, as I mentioned, it's a bit of a grey area and it must be used cautiously. So you must balance your interest in sending the email against the individual's rights and interests. Documentation, justification of why you believe the recipient would be interested in what you are offering without having obtained prior consent is essential. So if this ever goes to anything, you ever get told off for it, then having just documentation and justification to say, okay, well, the reason I contacted this specific prospect is because there is provision for legitimate interest in what I have to sell for them. Now, there's a whole bunch of other things similar to the CAN-SPAM. I won't bore you with it in this video, but it's definitely worth reading it out and having a look into it. One of the major points here to make yourself sort of compliant for both CAN-SPAM and for GDPR and other ones across the world is that you should never cold email an individual's private email address. So when you get a lead list, you should always make sure that your lead list only contain valid business emails. So if it's john@gmail.com, that is a personal email, so do not email that person. If it's john@business.com, then you are safe to email them. So only email valid business addresses. Super important fact here, okay? So other strict countries and regions, you've got Canada, which is, the Canadian anti-spam legislation is actually one of the most strictest in the world. It requires explicit consent before sending commercial electronic messages, so you can email them at your own risk, okay? I typically don't message Canada. They don't really fit my target market, and they're a bit of a pain in the arse about the Canadian anti-spam legislation. It's very strict, so I would just avoid Canada if I was you. The main places that you're likely going to be cold emailing is the USA and the EU. If you're emailing other places, different countries, then it's worth checking out the laws and legislations around that. Okay, so now we've covered that sort of boring area where you can jump into the real juicy stuff like tech stack, the writing, the setup, all that interesting stuff that's going to allow you to actually get these things in place. Okay, so the first one we're going to look at is the tech stack. So I want you to use this as a directory, and remember that as we move through this guide, the various tech options I put forward will make sense. So if you're new to cold email, this section might not mean too much to you right now, okay? But I want you to use it as a directory so that you can go back and say, okay, so I want to do this. What's the best tech option for that? Have a look at my this list right here, and you'll be able to find out very quickly, okay? So the first one we're going to look at is where to host domains, and I've given you 3 options here, and I've broken down some sort of pros, some cons around those. So you've got GoDaddy, you've got Squarespace, and Porkbun. So with GoDaddy, it's a good option. It's easy to buy and manage domains, and it has a safe reputation, which is always good. So GoDaddy is a solid option if you want to buy domains. Squarespace actually bought Google domains, so you're no longer able to buy Google domains. They've sold it to Squarespace. In my personal opinion, I don't find it as easy to buy and manage domains. I was going to move everything over to Squarespace, but when I tried to utilize it, it just wasn't working very well for me. It was slow, it was buggy, so I thought I'm not going to use this anymore when I moved to GoDaddy. There's also Porkbun as well, which is very simple to buy and manage domains. It can be cheaper in some circumstances to buy domains, and it's very good for scale. So if you have loads and loads of domains and you quickly want to propagate DNS settings, again, if you're new, this might not make much sense to you right now, but we will as we move forward, then Porkbun is a good option. Okay, it's definitely a good option for that. So Workspaces is the actual email service provider. So you've got domains, which is where you buy a domain, and the Workspaces, this is where the email addresses that you send it from. You've got 2 major options here. You've got Google, and this is the common option for cold emailers. So the pro is that it has a good sending reputation, okay? And the cons is that it can be very annoying when you're locked out. So Google is really annoying when it comes to 2-factor authentication, getting locked in and out of things. It can be a bit of a pain in the ass. So I'd recommend, I use Google myself. I may test out Microsoft this year. I've heard some good things about it, but it can be a little bit annoying to get around getting locked out of things, getting marked as spam, those sort of things. And Google is kind of cracking down on cold email at the moment, so just be careful about what you choose, and get good at using both Google and Microsoft so that you have sort of risk diversification. Okay, you've also got Microsoft, which is another common option for cold emailers, and pros, you can get very cheap annual plans, which is really nice, and cons, the sending reputation is not as high as Google's. Okay. So 3, and this is the cold email automation tool. So this is the tools that you're going to utilize to actually send the cold emails, manage your campaigns, manage your lead lists, write things down, all these sort of things. This is where you're going to send the campaigns itself, okay? If you're an email marketer, then Klaviyo is the tool that you use to send marketing emails for e-commerce brands, okay? These tools are what you're going to use as a cold emailer to send cold emails to your prospects. So you've got some options here. Instantly, which is the option that I personally use and have used for about 1.5 years, 2 years now, I can't remember exactly. And this is the most common option for cold emailers at the moment. It's very easy to use, it's got great support, and it's very reasonably priced, okay? You can actually host unlimited email accounts and contact up to 50,000 prospects for $99 every single month, which is really cheap. It actually might be $97, I'm not sure on that exactly. But yeah, very good option. And these guys are changing the game. They've got a great team, and they're just an awesome company. You've also got the option of Smart Lead, which is similar to Instantly, but in my opinion, it has a much better API, which is beneficial for more advanced cold emailers. Okay, so if you're planning on using Clay, which will again make sense as I explain what this tech stack is, and as we move through this guide, then I would go for Smart Lead. And if you're planning on using sort of complex APIs, if you have experience of APIs from previous job titles, job roles, those sort of things, then I would recommend going for Smart Lead. There's other options in the market as well. In my opinion though, most other options are either not as developed as Instantly and Smart Lead, or was created before and don't have the updated features like unlimited email accounts. So there's some options out there that will make you pay for every email account that you have on. So if you have 10 or 15 email accounts on there, you're going to be getting charged thousands and thousands of dollars every single month. I just would avoid them. I'd go for Instantly. If you'd like to utilize Instantly, then I do have a link in my bio. It's obviously an affiliate link, so I may get some commission from you clicking on that. Okay, so that link is in my bio as well if you'd like to give it a try out and give it a shot. So number 4 here, we've got databases. So databases is where you're going to find leads, okay? So I've kind of broken this down into different types of database for different types of prospects, because I understand everyone watching here, you may be targeting different ICPs. So the first thing here is LinkedIn Sales Navigator. So this is the largest online database of B2B leads in the world. If you target B2B, your prospects are absolutely there. A good volume of leads, but the search parameters are not as great. It's quite clunky to actually search LinkedIn Sales Navigator and get very, very accurate lead lists. And if you have a very specific ICP, then you may need to look into other options. But if you have a sort of generic ICP, then LinkedIn Sales Navigator is fantastic. And if you can get good at using it, then it's super, super powerful. All right. So the next option is Apollo. So this is the same sort of lead. This is the exact same leads as LinkedIn Sales Navigator, but it has much better search options and you can nail down your ideal client profile, okay? So that they have really, really good lead list filters so that you can search for very, very specific things, keywords. It's just really, really good at searching that. However, the only downside is that the quality of leads, for what I found in my opinion, is that they're not as good, and you can often get 30 to 40%, of valid emails out of a list, which is not great. Okay, it's not really good to use. But there's ways around that. This is a sort of basic guide, remember. So LinkedIn Sales Navigator is great for the sort of standard leads. Apollo is better for more specific searches, but again, the lead quality and the quality of data there is not as strong. As there is in other options. So the next one we can look at is e-com databases. Okay, so if you're targeting e-com companies, which I imagine a lot of you are because a lot of people in the agency space are contacting e-com companies, then you've got a couple of options here. You've got Store Leads and you've got Brand Nav. So Store Leads is the original e-com database. It's got good search options and a solid base for e-com, but it can often have inaccurate or outdated data. So e-com space is changing all the time. Companies go bust, companies change, people get hired. And in my opinion, Store Leads doesn't have the most accurate updated data. You will also have to enrich the data with email addresses, and the pricing is on a monthly basis. And it's quite expensive as well. It's really not cheap to get this data. So that means when I say that you'll have to enrich the data with email addresses, is that when you get the data from Store Leads, it's just the names of the company. Okay, so what you're going to need to do is then enrich the domain of that company and find out who works within that company itself, which is a little bit annoying. Okay. So another thing you can use here is Brand Nav, and this is similar to Store Leads, but with more modern interface. It's nicer to use, I find, in my opinion, and it also has the ability to enrich leads natively. And another benefit is that pricing is based upon usage as well. So you say, okay, I want 50,000 leads. You pay for 50,000 leads, and it doesn't charge on a monthly basis. You just charged for the usage that you had, which I find is really, really nice. Okay, in my opinion, I prefer Brand Nav over Store Leads. So Built With, which is another option, and this is the best option to target companies with specific tech. Okay, so if you need to find out if a company uses X software, Y software, then Built With is absolutely your place to look for. If you want to contact a company because they have a tech solution in place or don't have a tech solution in place, then this is so, so powerful. It shows you all of the entire tech stack and what's on people's websites, what are they using internally for the specific business that you want to search for. So it's really, really powerful. Now, another one here is Ocean.io. This is good if you have more budget to spend. So if you're coming into this with pretty significant budget and you have a very specific ICP, then you can provide the website of your ICP, and then Ocean will generate a lead list of similar websites that you can then enrich. So it's a great lookalike tool. So you provided a website, it will then search for companies that are very similar to that one, and it provides you a sort of lookalike audience based upon that. So it's quite expensive though. So if you do have a budget, it's worth looking at. If you're just a beginner, then I probably wouldn't look at Ocean.io. Okay. Okay, so next up we've got email finding and validation, which is a super integral part of cold email. The first option here is Find Email. So Find Email is awesome because it integrates natively within Apollo and Sales Navigator so that you can scrape directly from those databases, which is really cool. This saves time if you're on a timeline, if you're on, you need to get things done quickly. This is super powerful and allows you to scrape things very quickly. Alongside that as well, it's a great option for high quality leads because it provides verified leads for you and it's very reasonably priced. I use this for myself in my operations, and again, you can find the link to this in the description of this video if you want to give it a try. Okay, so now we're going to look at email validators. So this is an email scraper. These are email validators. So email validators are tools that you can provide a list to, and they will go through that and tell you what emails are valid and what emails are not valid. Okay, so it's an essential part of cold emailing is verifying your emails before sending a campaign, and both these options are really good. Million Verifier and Never Bounce. I think I use Never Bounce, but I'll probably move over to Million Verifier because I believe that it's actually cheaper. Okay, you've also got Scrubby, which is a tool which is a great way to reclaim up to 30% of your lead list that conventional verifiers can't validate. Okay, so when you do verify your lead list using these, you will get some emails that will say, say 80% of them are valid, then 20% of them will be invalid or unknown. So what Scrubby does is it looks at the unknown emails and it tells you whether they are actually contactable or not contactable. And it can help you actually reclaim up to 30% of your lead list. And it's quite expensive, I won't lie to you, but it's powerful if you have a small target market. So if you have a small total available market and you don't want to lose 30% of it just due to not accurate data or not sure, then Scrubby is a very powerful tool to reclaim those leads. Now, the last one in the tech stack here is lead storage and manipulation. So what I mean by manipulation is this is doing stuff to the leads and adding stuff to the leads and personalizing the leads, etc. So the first option here is Google Sheets. Self-explanatory, it's simple, and it's the OG way of storing leads. Simple, easy to use, and this is what most people use to store their leads, or Excel or whatever you use within your own work stack. Okay. The next option here is Clay, and this is newer on the scene and it's extremely powerful. Clay brings together dozens of providers plus AI into a spreadsheet, allowing you to quickly pull data, enrich leads, and scrape the web. Also injecting AI into your cold email system. So very powerful tool. It's got a steep learning curve and I would avoid it if you're a beginner, but mastering this can unlock another level up. All right, very powerful tool. So next up, we've got Technical Setup, okay? And this part of the guide will be a walkthrough, and it's not an exact setup guide. There are endless videos on exact setup for cold email systems. The point of this section is to show you what you need, okay? So the first thing that we're gonna look at is the components of cold email. So the first thing you're gonna need is domains, and we've already been through those providers. You've got GoDaddy, Squarespace, and Porkbone. You can choose whichever one of those you like. Naming practices for those domains. So when I mean naming practices, this is what you call your domains. The first thing is to always use .com domains, okay? They've got a higher reputation, and when prospects receive them, it looks better. Don't use things like .xyz or .info or whatever it is. They just look terrible, so do not use those. Only use a .com domain, okay? You're going to be thankful for me when you do this, and you start to get better results. Secondly, take the name, so the main domain of your business, and add prefixes and suffixes to create those secondary domains. So for example, if your business is, let's say for example, your business is called business.com, okay? Then your secondary domains will be gobusiness.com, trybusiness.com, and consultbusiness.com, etc. You can get really sort of in depth with this. Use ChatGPT to help you out with this as well. There's loads of powerful prompts you can use out there, and get yourself 10 or 15 brand new, fresh secondary domains. So how many are you going to need? You're going to need a minimum of 10 new domains to run successful cold email campaigns, depending on the size of your total available market. Plus, you can scale up to 15 or 20, even 30, but remember this increases costs significantly, okay? So consider the size of your total available market. If you've got a huge millions and millions of people within your total available market, then it's worth getting a few more domains. If you've got a relatively small or medium to normal size total available market, then 10 domains is going to be absolutely fine for all you need, okay? So what are the reasons for these secondary domains? Well, it's twofold. The first one is that cold email comes with a risk of being marked as spam. In the rare and extreme case that your domain gets blacklisted, you don't want this to be your main domain, okay? Secondary domains act as a protective moat. Imagine your main domain as the castle and all your secondary domains as the moat around the castle, protecting your castle from spam attacks that are trying to get in the castle itself, okay? B, to avoid being blacklisted, we are limited to a safe maximum of 50 cold emails per day per domain. So if you have 10 secondary domains, then the maximum amount of cold emails you can send is 500 cold emails per day. If you have 20 secondary domains, then the maximum you can send is 1,000 cold emails per day. The more domains, the higher volume, and you can adjust this for your business needs. Now, a super important fact here is that not every business needs 100 plus sales calls every single month. 99% of small agencies would see solid and sustainable growth with 10 qualified calls every single month. That's why 10 domains is probably perfect for what you need. All right. The next thing we're going to look at here is workspaces. So again, we've looked at the providers, Google and Microsoft, and let's look at some naming sources or best practices for these email accounts themselves, the workspaces. So always use a person's name and not a generic name like sales at or info at. If your name is Tom, like my name, use Tom at business.com or John at business.com or Susie at business.com. It doesn't matter who it is as long as there is a name involved in it, okay? It's much nicer to receive an email from someone with a name than a generic info at or sales at. If you receive an email from someone with sales at, you instantly know what they're trying to do and it just gives you the ick and it just puts you off trying to deal with them. So do not use generic names like sales at or info at, okay? The next point is going to be controversial, so please don't get offended. I'm just telling you from what I've learned from the data that I've collected, okay? If you're reaching out to a Western market and you have a foreign sounding name, so as in a name that is not Western, this will affect your success rate with cold email. And that's due to things like spam calls or spam emails, originating in places like Nigeria, India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, those sort of places. So in all circumstances, I recommend using a Western name. So again, don't attack the messenger. I'm just telling you what I found from my experiences, okay? I can't tell you why this is the case or, if it's fair or not. It's just the case, so deal with it, all right? So the second thing that we're going to look at is DNS records. All right. So depending on which domain provider you choose, the DNS record setup will be different. So consult their guides or find a YouTube video. But the three main things that you're going to need to implement into every single domain is these three records. We've got DMARC, we've got DKIM, and SPF. So let's break down what they actually are and what they do. So DMARC uses SPF and DKIM to provide further protection. It's a policy added to your DNS record that tells receiving email servers what to do if an email doesn't pass SPF or DKIM checks. Okay. It also requests reports on emails received that use your domain so that you can see if someone is trying to spoof your domain and send unauthorized emails. The second one here is DKIM. And DKIM is a way to attach a digital signature to emails sent from your domain. If it matches, it confirms that the email and its attachments haven't been tampered with in transit and indeed come from your domain. So it's sort of a verifier that what you're sending to that person hasn't been tampered with, it hasn't been intercepted, and it's not bad stuff. All right. The third one here is SPF, and SPF is used to prevent spammers from sending messages on behalf of your domain. If the email comes from a server not on the list, it's marked as unauthorized, reducing the likelihood of spam or phishing attacks. So, to give a summary there with a sort of too long didn't read, SPF ensures emails are sent from authorized servers, DKIM verifies that the content of the emails remains unchanged and authentic from its source, and DMARC tries to tie these two together, providing instructions on what to do if emails fail these checks and reporting on email activity. So super, super important. Follow the guides and make sure you get all of these three correctly propagated as DNS records for all of your domains that you're sending cold emails from. It's also now going to be Google policy rolling out from February that you have all of these things in place. If they don't, then Google is going to quarantine them and send them to spam. So make sure that you have all these in place. Absolutely serious about this point. Thirdly here is domain forwarding. So remember that all secondary domains should be forwarded to your main domain so that prospects can search for you and get redirected to your landing page. And this will increase trust. So if someone searches up your secondary domain and it goes to an error 404 or just doesn't exist, then that's not going to look very good. If it gets redirected to your landing page, they can find out more about you and they can book in a call, they can learn about you. A lot of prospects will absolutely search you up before replying to you or agreeing to jump on a call. So doing this is going to increase your trust and increase your deliverability, stop you getting sent to spam. It's all good stuff. Make sure this is done, okay? The fourth thing is workspace picture. So every email account or workspace that you're using should have a picture attached to it. This helps to increase trust and break the pattern of your email in the inbox. So make sure that it's a clear, professional looking headshot, not some greasy, muggy picture that you had taken, or you on a night out and smoking a cigarette with a beer in your hand. Make sure that it looks something professional and makes it look like it's clean and nice, that you're friendly, that you're a good, safe, trustworthy person, all right? Number 5, warming. So what I mean by warming is warming up the domains, okay? So why should you warm up your domains? Well, in my opinion, and in other people's opinion in cold email, warming is 100% essential and it's absolutely non-negotiable, all right? Warming your domains allows a positive reputation to be built up before sending your cold emails. And this positive reputation allows your emails to land directly into your prospect's inbox. So how long should you warm before sending? I recommend a minimum of 2 weeks, but the longer you warm up your accounts for, the better, all right? Should I turn off warming off? Simple answer to that, no. Never ever turn your warming off. Always keep it on and always be warming your accounts, all right? So the ratio of warming to cold, okay? So warming emails to cold, so that means how many warming emails you're sending versus how many cold emails you're sending. When sending campaigns, or when campaigns are launched, you can choose your ratio, but my opinion, if you're using Instantly or Smart Lead, leave the default settings on, don't touch with it. Let them decide what you're going to do because they've got the data, they've got the best practices, so just let it be, all right? As we move into 2024 and with the rollout of the new Google policies, which you'll see videos on soon that I'll be putting out, there are some things about, spam rates being less than 0.3%. So there could be ways of getting around that by increasing the amount of warming emails, because you can guarantee that your warming emails are going to land in the inbox. They're not going to get sent to spam. So if you're sending thousands of those versus only sending a couple of cold emails from every account, then the ratio of how many cold emails versus warming emails and how many the spam rate is going to be much better. Okay, so this may be an option, but there'll be more information coming out about that from myself and other cold email guys over the next few months as the data starts to roll in and what it looks like. Okay, so this is the tech bit here. So this is the tech setup that you need. Again, it's just a guide. It's just a walkthrough showing you what you need. I'm not going to show you exactly how to do all of these things. There's so much free information out there on the internet on how to do it, right? Now, the next area that we're going to look at is copywriting. Okay, this is going to be a quick beginner's guide on cold email copywriting, but subscribe because I'm going to be putting out a full guide very, very soon on cold email copywriting. It's going to be another long video like this. It's going to really deep dive into cold email copy, how to do it, what to do, and the philosophy behind it. Okay, and it's going to help you create really, really powerful cold email campaigns. So the first thing that we're going to look at here is the cold email copywriting philosophy. So understanding the philosophy, super, super important. The first thing you need to understand is that cold emails are not about you. They are about triggering pain points within your prospects and providing value to your prospects. Okay, so you want to focus on the real pain that your prospects are experiencing and how your service helps to alleviate that pain. So here are some sort of simple pain points that always work and are always going to be relevant to your prospects. Not enough sales, struggling with a platform, not enough profit, and wasting time on laborious processes. If you can help to solve any one of these things, then you've got a pain point that's always going to be relevant. Now, depending on what your offer is or your service, these are just generic ones, but I would recommend getting very specific with your pain points and helping to solve a very specific but very painful problem that businesses are going through. If you can do that, super, super powerful. The next thing we're going to look at here is relevancy, and this is where targeting becomes very, very important. You should only be sending cold emails to prospects that are relevant to your service or product. And if you're reaching out to, say, for example, a pet product brand, do not use the case study of a beverage brand. It's not relevant at all, it's not appropriate, and it doesn't mean anything to them, okay? The more relevant and focused you can make your cold emails, the better, all right? The better your cold emails will be. The next part of the philosophy here is keeping things short and sweet. So maximum in your cold emails of 100 words, nothing over that. You don't need to write paragraphs and paragraphs because people don't care and people will not read it. Keep things short, keep it simple, and have respect for your prospect's time, okay? This can be broken down into 3 to 4 very, very simple sentences, and make sure that it's a clear, clean, scannable format, okay? So that someone can quickly get an understanding of what you're trying to say to them within, a matter of seconds, because people will look at your email for 2 seconds. If they don't understand what's going on, you're getting sent to spam, you're getting deleted. Focus everything within your cold emails about making things very, very simple and very, very frictionless, all right? Next, we're going to look at value first. So again, remember that cold emails are not about you. The aim is to provide value to your prospects, engage interest. So you can provide value in things like helping them to alleviate that pain point by offering them free guides, documents, assets, videos, audits, whatever it may be. Test out a load of different things and become very, very good at providing value to your prospects, because then your prospects will see you in a much better light and it will be much more interested in finding out about your full service. Next up in the philosophy is a soft CTA. So unless your target market is a complete blue ocean, then do not ask for meetings within the first email. So blue ocean, in case you're not aware, is a new market with little competition or barriers standing in the way of innovators, meaning that if your target market has never received a cold email before, or that your offer, your service is brand new and solves this insane pain point, then you could ask for a call in your first email. It doesn't matter, because people will be interested in solving it. However, it's likely that most of you are operating in what's called a red ocean, so highly saturated services. Then you do not want to offer a call, because they could be getting 15 requests for a call every single day. You want to separate yourself from the market by providing value and value first, right? So use a soft CTA to gauge interest. And soft CTAs can be anything from the likes of, can I send it? Are you interested in it? Would you be open to? Soft, gentle, to elicit a positive response from your prospect. The goal is to get a yes or a no, but the goal is just to get an answer. If you can get a yes, great. If you get a no, that's fine. You move on. It's still data that you can utilize. Now, the next thing we're going to look at is a winning structure of a cold email. And I'm not going to give you templates. I'm not going to give you exact cold emails that I use, because you're just going to rinse them. You're just going to utilize them straight away. You're going to burn them out, and you're going to ruin the effectiveness of them. The smartest people that are watching this video will take everything that I've told you and apply it to themselves. What I'm trying to give you is the tools, the frameworks, the guidelines to apply everything to yourself. So this is a good structure for a cold email. Hey, name, a pain point question, offer, and then backing that up with a case study, the risk reversal that you're providing them, a soft CTA, and then sign off very, very quickly. So take the structure and apply it to your own business, okay? Get creative, but this is a good structure to use for a cold email, okay? So the next thing we're gonna look at is personalization. And in my opinion, the better your offer is, the less personalization you need. And what I mean by this is, if your offer is very, very potent, then you can just say that in your cold email. You can say what your offer is and people will be interested in it. If your offer is not as good, then you need more personalization to cut through everyone else that's sending the same thing over to those prospects, right? The more personalization you need, the more expensive your cost per cold email becomes, whether that's from a time perspective or paying for tools to personalize those cold emails. However, what I would say is this: adding personalization to a winning offer can increase your replies by up to 30%. So if you have a winning offer, it's worth putting in a little bit of extra money and time to personalize it, because you can squeeze even more out of your campaigns, which is really, really important. The fourth thing we're going to look at here is subject lines. All right. So I really wouldn't focus a lot of time or effort into them. People go on and on about subject lines. They're really not that important. Short and simple is better. And remember, don't give away your entire email in the subject line. The goal is to evoke curiosity. All right. Quick question still works, but honestly, I would be better than that. Think outside the box. Make it short, simple, and evoke that curiosity that would get someone to click on the cold email. All right. Next up, we're going to look at sales assets. And in my opinion, the smartest cold email operators are focusing resources on sales assets. This is going to be super important in 2024. What can you offer to a prospect that simultaneously provides value while selling? Okay, these can be anything from guides, audit, videos, reports, whatever it may be. Okay, create something that has a lot of value for your prospects and give it to them for free. And remember that it has to be low friction. All right, so someone's not going to go out of their way to do something incredibly boring or laborious. Remember, it has to be a low friction sales asset that provides a lot of value. It should be easy for them to get access to it. And again, when I mentioned about low friction, things like having access to their accounts to do audits, these are high friction things. So don't ask or offer to do those sort of things. The last thing we're going to look at here in the copywriting is spin tags. Now, spin tags is an essential component of your cold email copywriting. And what is spin tags? Well, spin tags is spinning the syntax of the message. This essentially means changing the words of a sentence to be different, but saying the same thing. Instantly allows you to integrate spin tags directly into your sequences. Using this as an example, okay? So this is what spin tags looks like. You'll put two curly brackets, the word random, and then a straight dash, and then you can put whatever you want, whether it's a word or a phrase, followed by a dash which breaks it up, another word or phrase, etc., etc. And you can build out really comprehensive groups of spin tags for your cold emails. So for example of this would be, random, hi, hello, and then you could sign off with random, thanks, cheers, kind regards, best wishes. Again, remember, you can spin anything in your script, so get creative and don't forget about this key element. All right, so the next section that we're looking at here is lead scraping. And remember guys, this is a guide, not a demonstration, okay? So we're gonna be walking you through the sort of areas that you need to look at in order to have success with this section here, okay? So the first one here is finding leads. Now, we've already covered this in the tech stack section, as in the various lead providers, whether that's LinkedIn Sales Navigator, Apollo, Store Leads, Brand Nav, whatever that is. So if you wanna find out what is the relevant lead source and database for yourself, go back to that section, watch through that again, and make sure that you've got the relevant one for you. All right. Now, remember that each platform has its searching mechanism, which is often very intuitive, but again, can often take some time to get the ropes of and make sure that you're fully understanding exactly what's going on. The longer that you spend practicing with the UI, this is the same with anything, the longer you spend practicing anything, the more complex searches you'll be able to perform, the better you'll be able to handle that software, that platform, and that data, and you'll be able to utilize it in whichever way you want to do. Okay, now the next bit here is that you can also test out trying lead scrapers from Upwork or Fiverr. So this is where you go to somebody and they will scrape leads for you. They have access to lots of different databases, whether that's Store Leads or Brand Nav or Apollo or LinkedIn Sales Navigator, or there's loads of different databases out there, and they can have access to multiple databases. You go to them and you say, I want these lead lists. Now, it'll often be more expensive per lead to do that, but it can save you a lot of time, and they can be really good if you find nice ones. So you'll want to test out multiple at a time until you can negotiate a good rate for quality. And remember, not every lead scraper is good. Honestly, I would say that people on Fiverr are not that good, and at the moment Upwork is kind of getting spammed by people with AI platforms that are auto bidding and things like that. So just be careful. You can look on Twitter, there's some good lead scrapers on Twitter as well, but just test out multiple at a time and understand that you're probably going to lose a little bit of money trying to find a good one, but when you find a good one, it's really, really powerful. The second thing is verifying leads, and again, the importance of verifying leads. So this is super, super important, an extremely, extremely important part of cold email. Leads are constantly changing. This is something you need to remember. As people move, companies are fired or companies go through internal restructuring, meaning the list that you have from a year ago could be 90% invalid today. Now, this is an extreme case, but it could happen. A lead list that you scraped a year ago that was 100% accurate today could be 90% inaccurate because half of those people have moved. And now, especially as we're coming into sort of economic downturn, recessions, those sort of vibes. People are going to be moving around, people are going to be changing companies, people are going to be getting fired. So the data that's currently out there in databases is not going to be always as accurate, right? So it's essential to clean your leads before every campaign you launch, plus utilizing that do not contact list to store invalid and uninterested leads, right? The next thing that we need to adhere to is that 3% bounce rate. So this is the upper limit of a safe bounce rate. Anything higher and you risk your domain health and becoming blacklisted. So remember, the bounce rate is how many leads that you send emails to that are invalid. So if you send to an invalid lead or a lead that is expired or whatever it is, then your lead will bounce, okay? And when it bounces, this affects the health of your domain. And you can track your bounce rate really easily using Instantly. So if you're on the campaigns, you can check the leads that you've contacted and you can see how many leads have bounced, right? So if you're getting above a 3% bounce rate, stop the campaign and validate your leads, okay? Super simple to do, but super, super important. Domain health. Now, protecting your domain health is key. Good domain health means that you will land in the inbox every single time, which is the goal of cold email. So you want to really focus on getting good domain health so you can land in the inbox every single time. Bad domain health gets you in the spam box, and that's not what you want at all. Cleaning leads. Now, cleaning leads is separate to validating leads. Now, I know that I use cleaning and validating sort of here and there, and that might be confusing. I can understand that, so I can only apologize. But cleaning leads and validating leads is different. Okay, so leads often need cleaning. If you plan on using a person's first name and company name in your cold emails, you want to ensure that the first name is formatted properly and that you have removed any unnecessary words from that company name. So, for example, when you scrape a lead list, you'll notice that you have things like, when it's a company name, in the company name column, you'll have company Pty Ltd, right? Which is not what you want. So for example, my business is, advancedclient.io. It might be Advanced Client Ltd or something along those lines. And this needs to be cleaned into company. So instead of Advanced Client Ltd, it would just be then Advanced Client, all right? And when you do this, it makes it look more natural and that you put more effort into them. If you get an email that has your full legal company name in it, you know that they've just subbed data into there and they've just had a lazy campaign, and it's really not a good first impression. So you can either pay a VA, so a virtual assistant, to clean your lists for you, or you can utilize ChatGPT for Sheets and create a cleaning prompt. Very, very simple to do. There's lots of different cleaning prompts out there on the market, and you can just play around with ChatGPT and just come up with one that cleans the lead lists for you. So very, very simple to do and very, very cheap to do that as well. When you connect it to your OpenAI account, it's going to cost you pennies to do this at scale, which is really, really nice, and it's also fast. Now, Instantly offers both validation services, so as in they will validate your leads for you, and also cleaning prompts natively within their lead storage systems. But I'll be honest, this will cost you more than sorting it out yourself. But again, if you're someone that likes convenience, you have budget, you have it already there, just do it all inside it Instantly. Save yourself the pain of finding someone to do this for you, and just pay a little bit more money for the convenience, all right? Now, alongside this as well, Clay also makes it easy to validate and clean your leads with minimal input. So again, I already mentioned Clay earlier on this video. It's got a steep learning curve, but if you can learn it, it's going to make you a very, very powerful cold emailer. Number 4, and this is storing leads. So you want to have some sort of naming conventions. So if you're using Google Sheets, it's important to organize your leads and your names and the name sheets with a recognizable format. Okay, so keep your format the same, and trust me on this. When you're managing 100,000 plus leads, an organized library is an absolute lifesaver. You want that in place. All right, so the next section we're going to look at is launching a campaign. So again, this is a guide, not a demonstration. So I'm going to take you through a guidance on what you should do when you launch this campaign. So the first thing is A/B testing. Now, Instantly allows you to add unlimited variations to each sequence in your campaigns, meaning that you can test out literally everything. Now, for an initial campaign, I would stick with 3 or 4 different changes within that A/B testing sort of way for each campaign, so that you can see clear data on the winner. These are some of the things that you can test: subject lines, pain points, offers, guarantees, case studies, structures, personalization, sales assets, anything you want. If you're creative, you will find a way to test it. And having success in cold email is often about being creative and thinking outside the box. But if you were to focus on the main things, these are the main tests that you want to be running initially at the start of a campaign: pain points, offers, and sales assets. Okay, so once you've nailed these 3, you can test whatever you want. When you find a pain point, an offer, and a sales asset that's really crushing it for you, start to tweak little different things and really start to optimize the campaign. So the next thing is scaling. So if you have just warmed up your domains and you're about to launch your first campaign ever, follow this warm-up sequence. Okay, so if you've just started cold email, you've bought your domains, you've set up your email accounts, you've added them all to Instantly, you've warmed them up for 2 weeks, this is how you should follow your campaign structure. So week 1, 20 emails per domain per day. Week 2, 25 emails per domain per day. And week 3, 30 emails per domain per day. And what you want to do is keep scaling up by 5 each week until you hit 50 domains. That's 50 emails per domain per day. Okay. Now, if your emails start getting locked, disconnected, or reported for spamming, pull them from the campaign and restart them after a week at 20 emails per day per domain. If you're lazy, I'd honestly just leave it at around 20 or 25 emails per domain per day. This is a super safe level and you are highly unlikely to have any trouble. And this will just ensure the longevity of your domain. You could, there is a situation out there where you could start with 1,000 cold emails every single day per domain per day. What's going to happen is you're going to burn through that domain very, very quickly, and this is going to affect, then you're just going to have to get more domains. It's going to be costly, and it's just not a good vibe. You don't want to be constantly churning through domains, okay? And 3, KPIs. So something that I wanted to mention here is that every industry offer niche is completely different, and what may seem like normal results for one person would be great results for another person. There are too many nuances to give true KPIs. The following are just baselines, okay? Just very, very basic, simple baselines, and you can apply them to your own niche in industry. So open rate, if you're tracking the open rate, some people don't, I personally don't on some campaigns, 70% is a healthy level, and that shows that your emails are landing in the inbox. If you're getting a 70% open rate, then that's a good sign that your emails are landing in the inbox and that your domains are healthy. Reply rate, 3% is the baseline for a healthy campaign. Anything below that and what you're sending is either landing in spam or not connecting with your prospects. So you want to check your deliverability on that, and if you are getting good deliverability still, then you want to work on your offer, because clearly what you're sending is not connecting with your prospects. And then number 3 here is meeting book rate. So a 0.5% meeting book rate is good. Anything above that is great. 1% is fantastic. If you're getting above a 1% meeting book rate, you're one of the best cold emailers in the world, okay? So these are some baseline KPIs that you should look at when you're launching a campaign. Next, we're gonna look at how we're gonna keep a clean inbox, because the best cold emailers are the most organized cold emailers. If you are not planning on using the Unibox feature, which is in Instantly, which is where you can manage all your replies there, if you're doing this in Gmail, then you want to follow along for the best ways to keep your inbox clean, all right? So the first thing we're going to look at is labels. So we can mark emails with different statuses depending on how they reply to us. This allows you to quickly see all the emails under one label, and I use the following labels to keep my inbox clean. We've got interested, not interested, meeting books, awaiting decision, or client, okay? And this allows me very quickly, if I've got a thread with a client via email and they send me an update, I can very quickly see that that's an email from a client, and I know to give it my full attention quickly, okay? So now I can quickly see the emails that need my attention. The second thing we're gonna look at here is filters, and these are essential to stop your master inbox from being flooded with emails. And you can use filters to auto archive warm-up emails. So as you're warming up your domains, you'll notice that your email accounts are getting flooded with all of these warm-up emails. So what you can utilize is your key. So this is the number code that's on every single email account within Instantly, and it's the same for all of your accounts, and you can filter that out. So when you receive a warm-up email via Instantly into your inbox, it'll have that little number key there. So you want to set up a filter that searches for that key, that digit, that string of digits, and auto archives them. You can also set it to always mark as important, always star it, and never send it as spam. And again, this is just going to improve the deliverability of your domain and the health of your domain. You can also use filters to remove the message not delivered auto replies. So when you do get some bounces, you can just get them out of your inbox straight away. You can always mark out of office as red, so you can search for the common I'm out of office, I'm on holiday, You can create the entire filter for that, and when a message comes in, which is an auto reply for that, you can mark that as red, and you can mark that with an out of office label so that you're not wasting your time looking at it, okay? You can also get rid of any other automated email that distracts you from the important email, so you can get creative. Again, one of the big themes here is getting creative with your own cold email. You can get creative with your filters and set it up however you want. Now, within an inbox setup, I always use the unread first option on Gmail, but you can set it up however you please. This is just a guideline that you can follow based upon what I do, okay? So the next thing we're gonna look up is follow-ups. So how many follow-ups are you going to send within a cold email campaign? So we can break this down into two parts. So follow-ups within a sequence and follow-ups once they give you a reply. So in a sequence, I typically send between 4 to 8 emails. So this is within the initial cold email sequence. Once a prospect has replied showing interest, I continuously follow up periodically until I get a yes or a no. Now, remember this, and this is super key. The money is in the follow-ups. Not every prospect gets on a call straight away, all right? So what can you include in your follow-ups? Well, you can include case studies, you can include free stuff, you can include how-tos, ROI calculators, audits, or you can just use bumps. It's up to you. Again, get creative and don't just spam someone with generic messages. Try your best to provide value to them, and they will reward you by jumping on a meeting and finding out more about your business. All right. The next thing we're going to look at here, and as we're starting to move towards the end of this guide here, is integrating with other marketing channels. One of the best ways to increase the effectiveness of your cold emails is to focus on everything but the cold email itself. Now, that may seem sort of counterintuitive, and you might be thinking, Tom, what the hell are you talking about? But please let me explain, all right? Synergy with social media. So LinkedIn, all right? If you find a winning angle, offer, or script with cold email, you should be running LinkedIn outbound to increase your connections with relevant prospects and get more meetings, all right? Having an omni-channel outbound strategy creates compounding results. So if you're succeeding with cold email, don't just stop there. Add in LinkedIn to the mix as well. Why not? It'll add some more meetings. It'll increase the amount of people that you're connected with. It's a good thing, all right? Now, if you want to do this, and there's a tool that I personally use for all of my LinkedIn outbound, and this is Wallaxy, and again, you can find a link within the bio of this video for Wallaxy, all right? You can also do outbound on Twitter. I personally don't do this and have never done this, but if your audience is on X or Twitter, however you want to call it, you can also run those outbound DMs. The second thing here is cold email and content marketing. So, personal brand. Having a personal brand increases the effectiveness of your cold emails. If a prospect has already been exposed to your content or can quickly search you up and see that you are a subject matter expert in this field, this will massively increase trust. This is why I make YouTube videos, so that when people search up my name, they can see I know what I'm talking about when I'm creating an hour-long guide on how to cold email, and they can see that I'm a subject matter expert in exactly what I'm talking about. And this increases the trust that I have with my prospects and my clients. LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube are good places to focus on growing, but remember that this is a long-term strategy and do not expect immediate results. Thirdly here, and this is paid ads. So this continues the omnipresent theory. So if you have the budget and a proven angle or offer in cold email, then you should 100% start running paid ads on Meta, LinkedIn, Google, and Twitter, okay? So stay at the forefront of your prospect's mind. Omnipresence is super, super important. So next up, we're gonna look at adapting to the future. And these are my predictions for cold emailing in 2024 and beyond. And this is super important. If you want to use cold email throughout 2024, this section is going to be really important. These are all of my predictions that I see coming out. 1, targeting becomes more important. With the rollout of more stringent measures by Google and Yahoo, again, there's an update. They did go back on this, but it shows the sort of the direction that these guys are heading in right now. The spray and pray methods of the past will become more ineffective and risky for your business. Secondly, buying intent. Companies that can source and utilize buying intent, and this is signals that show their prospects are ready to buy, will absolutely beat the spray and pray operators. 3, AI. AI becomes ever more important at personalization at scale. So you want to focus on AI utilizing data instead of writing its own scripts. You want to basically get as much data on your prospect and use AI to sort of bring that all together to create very specific parts of your email. You don't want to just say write a cold email to, I don't know, a dentist or something like that. That's just going to get you a terrible, terrible result. 4, omni-channel. So operators that are running omni-channel, so cold email, LinkedIn, cold calls, paid ads, get exponentially better results throughout 2024. And having that diversity across multiple different channels really saves you, because if one day your LinkedIn goes down, or one day your cold email campaign stops producing results, or another day cold calls are just going bad, you've always got backups to be bringing in meetings, bringing in new business, and bringing in new pipeline. Another thing here is that revenue operators with sales, technical, and marketing experience are going to become highly valued in companies. So as we enter / are already in a recession, companies are looking to become more efficient and more cost effective. If you can generate interest, create a pipeline, close deals, and then nurture clients at all levels of the funnel, you become insanely valuable to companies. And remember that in the USA, okay, BDR salary, so this is a business development rep, can reach $100,000. And this is someone that doesn't have a huge amount of experience. And again, they may just be stuck on one channel. They may not be technical. They may not have the full sales expertise, and they may not have the marketing expertise. But this can reach $100,000 per year. So you've got to remember that most agencies are criminally undercharging for their services. Another big prediction that I have is that growth partners will become more sought after by companies who want to focus their efforts on products and services while still growing sustainably. So businesses will benefit from their partners who have eyes across the market, they're working with multiple clients and they're seeing exactly what's going on instead of just within the business and having that sort of tunnel vision, insular view of what's going on. And they're also getting a team of specialists working on their business for honestly the same price as a new hire BDR without experience. So if you could get a team of experts that are experts in multiple fields of client acquisition, of business development, of pipeline, of closing, of marketing, for the price of paying for one inexperienced business development rep, it's honestly a no-brainer. So if you are a B2B founder, then what I recommend is going to advancedclient.io, which is my business, for deeper insight into how we are partnering with B2B businesses for our growth partnerships. Okay, definitely recommend checking that out if you're looking for a long-term sustainable growth throughout 2024 and hiring a team of experts to help you execute so that you can focus on your product and your service and delivering the best results to your own clients. So if you want to stay informed about industry changes and what's going on, I recommend subscribing to this YouTube channel. So hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe, make sure the bell notifications are on so that you get the latest updates when I'm bringing out videos. I'm so excited for 2024. I've got so much content planned. I've got so many things that I want to talk about, and I just really want to provide as much value as possible to you guys, my subscribers. You can also join my newsletter. There will be a link in the bio where I drop a weekly newsletter, which is a sort of full written guide and document and everything in my thoughts about cold outbound, not just cold email, it can be cold outbound marketing, business development, sales, whatever it is. If you're interested in that side of a business and making yourself a better person when it comes to that, recommend signing up for that as well. You can also follow me on LinkedIn where I'll be posting periodically with more information about that. Okay. Finally here, conclusion and next steps. So let's summarize the key takeaways because I understand this has been a very long video. If you made it to the end, congratulations. You've got a great attention span. You're not falling to the brain rot that everyone's falling to these days with TikTok and Meta and whatever else is going on, all those short form videos. Congratulations. I'm sure you've learned a lot. I hope you enjoyed the video, but let's look at some key takeaways so that we can have a full rounded view of exactly what's happened. Okay. So the first thing here is getting good at the basics. So you want to know your technicals. You want to understand the basics and how cold email works because this will take you far. You want to get good at copywriting. The more you write, the better you get. Remember, the first cold email you write will probably suck, but the 50th cold email you write will probably be amazing. So keep writing and keep getting better at doing it, okay? Lead scraping. If you can master lead scraping, then you can make your life a lot easier. You can create highly targeted lists and just make everything fantastic. And finally, instinct. And this will develop over time. You will develop an instinct. To take it back to the Muay Thai thing that I was talking about earlier, the more that you spar, the more of a fighting instinct that you develop. The more you can understand this is what that person's going to do, or they're going to give me a kick now, or they're going to punch me, or whatever it's going to be, okay? It's the same thing with cold email. You will develop an instinct over time, so give yourself a time to develop it, all right? And this brings me on quite nicely to the next point here. Cold email is a skill, so practice it, okay? Do not expect results on day one and go in with a coachable attitude and learn from everyone, not just myself. There's so many guys out here on YouTube and Twitter and LinkedIn who talk about cold email. Follow them all and get a rounded view, not just my view, get everyone's views on it so then you can become the best possible. And finally, this is important, okay? And this sort of brings it back to the very start. Remember that cold email is unsolicited. Remember at the core of what a cold email is and let that guide you on the best ways to create campaigns. No one asked for your cold email, so make sure that you make it good. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Leave me a comment if you have any questions about anything within this video, and I personally will answer that for you. Again, remember to subscribe for more outbound content and like the video if you like the video so that we can spread it far and wide and get everyone informed on cold email and make sure that everyone is sending compliant, good, high quality emails so that everyone in the market gets better. Thank you so much, and I will see you in the next video.